Welcome to the second to last video in the tutorial set of Noughts and Crosses built in C++. So last time we looked at the CheckStatus function, and that looked at the operations and mechanics within the game. So it showed us whether there was a winner, a loser, a winner, it was drawn, and it also created a flag to say whether the game was running or not, and then that depended on what we did. The final function is just initialize, so this function is going to run as soon as the game starts, and it's going to run if you retry the game, and it just resets everything back to normal. So the first thing that we need to reset within the game is just the current player. So we need to set the current player to 1. Next, we need to set the filled squares variable to 0. And if you remember earlier, what this does is, inside the filled square, when we get to the end of this function, it adds an increment onto it. So it adds that 1 box is filled, or 2 boxes filled, 3 box, 4 box, 5 box, 6 box. And when that gets to 9, that's how we work out whether there's a draw or not. So it resets that back to 0. And then finally, we need to go through, loop through the boxes and then reset them back to nothing. So there's stuff in the boxes at the moment. So we're going to create a for loop, and inside that we'll write a condition of rows equal to 0 when rows is less than the whole row, so as in 3, row plus plus. So all this is saying is inside, what should we call that? So inside the whole of this function, what we want it to do is we want it to continue to go as long as, sorry, that's confusing me, it should be S, it's rows we're working with. So we click on that and we go to the top, you'll see our rows is there. Okay, so that's the one we're working with, rows. So what it's saying is this condition, the amount of rows, if row is less than row, so it's less than 3, add 1 and keep going all the way through. So loop round until we've completed the whole of the grid. So we're going to put a nested one for columns as well. So that's going to check all 3 columns, and while it's checking all 3 rows, we want it to check the column that the row's on as well. So we want to check them boxes. So this will be for in col is equal to 0, and then we want col is less than the total amount of cols, and then we want this to increment as well. So we want to cycle through. So all this is doing is it's cycling through each of the boxes in order, and when we get to each one of them boxes, we want whatever the reference is, we want to set that to a blank space in between the character like that and an end statement. So that's it, done, finished. Very simple function. Reset current player back to 1, reset filled squares to 0, and then cycle through all of the boxes on the Noughts and Crosses grid and set them to a character which is space, so set the character back to 0. And that has completed our game. So the next video is going to be a little bit of a play test and kind of show you how it works while we've got it on screen, and then you have completed it. Well done.